It's a Bitcoin conference, and it's a strong Bitcoin conference. You can't even be a vendor and have any other coin on your sign behind you. I think last year we had someone that had on their generic banner. They had maybe an Ethereum and some other coin, and we had to take tape and cover it. We told them they had to cover it with tape. I think it's I actually think it's the number one conference in the country.
Welcome to the Business Bitcoinization Show, the show dedicated to helping you enrich your life and grow your business with Bitcoin, the hardest money on planet Earth. I'm your host, Josh Friedemann, and our guest today is Gary Leland, who's had a long and successful career as a business owner, salesman, and marketer. Some of his accolades include an award for having one of the 100 fastest growing businesses in Dallas, Texas, and a website that Time Magazine identified as one of the 50 coolest on the planet. In addition to brick and mortar businesses, Gary's had multiple online businesses since 1996. He was one of the first 100 podcasters on the planet. Today, he advises companies. He's the EVP for Biz Talk Radio. He hosts the Bitcoin Boomer Show and organizes the BitBlock Boom Bitcoin Conference in Austin. Now, before we get to our interview with Gary, we do have this week's Bitcoin Meetup Spotlight. And this week is actually the meetups that Gary himself organizes. We promoted this a few weeks ago, but it seemed fitting to promote it once again today. With the BitBlock Boom meetups, you have 3 opportunities to get together with other Bitcoiners. Once a month in Dallas, once a month in Fort Worth, and every Monday morning in Arlington. These are great opportunities to meet and talk with like-minded people from the world of Bitcoin, and you can find out more details about time and location on Twitter at BitBlockBoom. The meetups are sponsored by the BitBlock Boom Bitcoin Conference in Austin, Texas. You can find more info on the conference at bitblockboom.com. And if you want to find a Bitcoin meetup near you and you're not in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I encourage you to download the Oshi app and you'll be able to find the closest Bitcoin meetup to you. Now, we're going to get to our interview with Gary right after this. There are dozens of places where you can buy Bitcoin. So where do you go? Well, since the beginning, I've gone to Swan. Swan Bitcoin offers ways for you to make instant buys or to dollar cost average into Bitcoin. And if you're looking to purchase $100,000 or more over time, Swan Private gives you a one-on-one rep who can help you navigate any questions you might have. Maybe you're a business owner looking to give your employees a consistent Bitcoin bonus. If so, Swan's Bitcoin Benefit Plan is your answer. In fact, I can't think of a lot of good reasons not to at least check out Swan. So to get started, go to swan.com/bizbit. And if you're on the fence about Bitcoin, just trying to learn more, you can download your free copy of Inventing Bitcoin from Swan. People who don't know about Swan are buying this excellent overview of Bitcoin on Amazon right now. But you know about Swan. So go to swan.com/bizbit. Then there's River Financial. River lets you dollar cost average as well and charges 0 fees when you do. But there's something else that makes River stand out to me even more: cash flow. If you like your money making money, River's hosted Bitcoin mining service might be just what you're looking for. Through River, you can buy new Bitcoin mining hardware that they'll then run for you. Or you can select a miner that's already up and running and start receiving Bitcoin in as little as 5 days. This is a great option to grow your personal Bitcoin stack, but it can also be part of your IRA or business account. Go to bizbitshow.com/river to get $100 in Bitcoin for every miner you purchase through River. That's bizbitshow.com/river. And last but certainly not least, we have Oshi. If you're looking for a risk-free way to take Bitcoin for a test drive in your business, Oshi is for you. Oshi lets you give your customers cash back in Bitcoin using the Bitcoin Lightning Network. Merchants love the Lightning Network because it provides instant payment settlement and makes chargebacks a thing of the past. It's great for you, but what's in it for the customer? Oshi changes this. With Oshi, you can set up promotions to incentivize customers to pay in Bitcoin. There are 0 processing fees, and you only pay the 2.5% platform fee when customers actually make purchases. To see if Oshi's right for you, go to oshi.team/bizbit. Once again, that's oshi.team/bizbit. All those links will be down in the show notes. And now, on to today's interview. Gary, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to it. We're going to have a good time today.
So I like to start off every single interview with a few questions that help us to get to know you a little bit better and give us some insight for our own lives. So you ready for these?
Sure. Lay them on me. Let's see how I do.
When and how did you first learn about Bitcoin?
I first learned about it I was going to see a friend of mine who did a podcast a video podcast. They were really new at the time in Dallas, and they had opened their own studio. And they had extra suites in the back room. This was in 2000. I know Bitcoin was around 100. And I saw a friend of mine back there while I was waiting for them to finish setting up the set for the show. Because I wanted to watch their show and see what they did, because I was thinking of moving in that direction with my podcast. And he asked me, he had people coming in and buying Bitcoin. They'd come in, give him some money, and he'd give them a thumb drive. And they'd leave. They were real happy. I said, what the hell is going on here, dude? And he goes, well, this is Bitcoin. They're coming in and buying Bitcoin. You know what Bitcoin is? I said, I've never heard of it. And he goes, well, it's like online stocks. And I said, oh, I'm not even interested in that. I had done terrible enough at online stocks, so I didn't even want to mess with that. And I said, well, never mind. And to this day, I give him a hard time because he cost me millions of dollars, by telling me online stocks. Then the next time, the time that I actually got orange pilled, I was at a conference speaking in Dallas, the Big D conference. And around 1 o'clock after my session, I was walking down the hall, and a friend of mine, Tony, who was also at the conference, was speaking to 4 or 5 of my friends about Bitcoin. And this was in mid-2017. And I came in halfway through the conversation, and when the conversation was over, they all left. But he said something that really interested me. He said it was the only missing protocol on the internet was a protocol for money, and that's what Bitcoin was. And since I started my first e-commerce site in 96, when people told me I was an idiot to try to sell stuff on the internet, I was really interested in that, a protocol that was brand new. And so I said, I missed about half of what you said. Can we sit on the couch and talk about it? Or can we talk? He said, yeah, let's sit on the couch. And this was like at 12 o'clock. 5:30 came, they were closing down the conference, and we were still sitting on the couch talking about it. So that night I listened to a podcast on the way home, since I was in the podcast. When I got home, I called him up and said, hey, are you going to be there tomorrow? I'd like to talk to you some more about Bitcoin. He said, sure. I met him at 9. We sat on the couch talking at 12. He took me to his house to show me his mining rigs and stuff. And when I got home that night, I bought Bitcoin. And that was Tony orange pilled me because it was explained in the proper manner.
Yep. Yep.
But like I said, the difference between early 17 price or mid 17 price and when it was 100 was drastic. So that's why every time I see my friend, I go, you cost me millions of dollars. If you'd have said anything besides online stocks, I probably would have listened to more. And it's not like online stocks. Well, I know, but I thought since you were old that you'd understand that easier. I'm going, thanks a lot.
Yeah, hindsight's 2020 for sure. And I'm just thinking back. This dates me a little bit as far as my youth, but back in 2009, I could have just opened up my new MacBook computer and mined enough Bitcoin to last me multiple lifetimes. And yet here I am. 2021 is when I first bought in. So there's always that point where you could have bought in, you didn't. You could have done something, you didn't. But here we are, and we're better because of those mistakes in some ways. The second question is this. What's an insight or fact about Bitcoin that you wish everyone understood?
I wish everybody understood that you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. I know a lot of people do, but let's face it, about 3% of the planet even knows what Bitcoin is, probably. Maybe it's 8. It's not much. So, every time I talk to someone about Bitcoin that's not into Bitcoin, like if I'm at a party and someone comes up like, hey, you're into that Bitcoin, which they ask a lot more when it's in a bull market. I go, yeah. And they go, yeah, I'd like to get some of that, but I can't afford $50,000 for a Bitcoin. So people, now compared to 5 years ago, most everybody's heard of Bitcoin now, and understand it's a digital currency, but not everybody understands you can buy $1 worth of Bitcoin. I think that would be the thing I wish more people knew, is that they could buy $1 worth of Bitcoin. And I think, we're talking stacking sats all the time, but in all honesty, if you're not into Bitcoin, you have no idea what that is. So that's not bringing anyone new into Bitcoin. If they were, say, buying bits or something, and I don't have a problem with the name sats, but there was something like buying bits or something like that, maybe more people could put a connection, go, oh, they're talking about buying Bitcoin with bits. Mm-hmm. But if you don't know what Bitcoin is and you see, someone posts, Matt Odell posts, stack those sats, you're going to go, what the hell is he saying? You know what I mean? Yep. And you're going to just pass by it, and you're not going to go, oh, I really need to investigate it and see what that is.
So question number 3 is this. What's the Bitcoin resource that you most recommend to other people?
YouTube. I mean,
Mm.
I use that more than anything else. I watch it all day, and just subscribe to Bitcoin shows. And when I don't see anything new, I search Bitcoin. I think it's a great resource. Maybe not the kind of resource you were looking for, but I think it's a great resource.
No, I think it's excellent. And first of all, they can watch your show, the Bitcoin Boomer Show. But what are some other accounts that you would recommend? Because let's say, like you've just recommended, or just mentioned that you do type in Bitcoin. Well, there's going to be a million things pop up, even a million things posted in the last hour. A lot of them are talking about all sorts of other cryptocurrencies, and I don't even like to use that term. But a lot of people are posting things that aren't great for people who want to learn about Bitcoin. Do you have any particular channels that you recommend?
You got Tales from the Crypt. That's always a good channel. As you said, mine, I think, is a pretty good channel, Bitcoin Boomer Show. But basically, I avoid anything that pretty much has the word crypto in it. If it's got the word crypto in it, 80% of what the show is going to be about, I'm not interested. There are few that had the name crypto established when kind of, I guess you could say, the breakup came between crypto and Bitcoin, and Bitcoin community decided that they needed to establish they weren't like crypto. So they are a few good ones, but anything that you can see that has Michael Saylor in it, is definitely worth watching. So like I said, I just would avoid crypto shows, stick with Bitcoin shows. Sorry, off the top of my head, I can't think of a lot of them, but anything with Michael Saylor in's a winner. You can't go wrong.
Sure. And I feel like after a certain point, you get a bit of a discerning eye to know, you just type in Bitcoin and you can see pretty quickly, these are good ones to watch. These are ones that aren't going to benefit my knowledge base much at all. So I guess part of it's just kind of getting used to seeing what's out there.
Yeah, I think that's more of it. And then the algorithm actually is really good on YouTube as to what it gives you. The thing is, it gives you crazy stuff that I'm not interested in watching, but I am interested in it. I go, oh, wow, how then I would be interested in why did Mount Vesuvius blow up? Which has nothing to do with Bitcoin, but I don't know how it figures this stuff up. It pulls in a lot of stuff I am interested in. But like I said, I'll look at stuff, I just skip right through this stuff. After a while, you watch something, you start seeing them talking about Ethereum or why Bitcoin's going to fail or something. You go, well, I don't want to see that one anymore because that's just some scammer of some kind.
So the next 2 questions are kind of outside of the realm of Bitcoin a little bit, but are still beneficial for the people listening to the show. The first of these last 2 questions, question number 4, is beyond Bitcoin, what is a resource, an idea, or a tool that's been helpful to you or your business recently?
Well, I accept Bitcoin payments, with the conference, and everything I do, I accept Bitcoin payments. I would prefer to get Bitcoin than cash, or not cash, but than USD, because I got enough. I really don't need the USD to live on a day-to-day basis, so I'd rather have it just come straight in Bitcoin. So I like a company called IBEX. I switched over to IBEX last year at BitBlock Boom, my conference, and I love their whole system. They pay out every morning. It's great. You can choose whether you want to accept Bitcoin and have it converted to cash or just Bitcoin. I like their wallet even on my phone. Someone wanted to buy a book the other day from me, a copy of my book, and I just put $20 on there. When they scan the QR code, it opens up their wallet to give $20. So it's not like, because I've had people pay me before, and I looked at their phone and I go, dude, it was $20, not $10. Not on the phone, but they didn't pay the whole amount. They just were hoping, I guess, because they think I'm an old for it, they can just show me, see, it's done, and quickly and walk away. Like on other items that are more expensive. So that's why I like that. I can put in the amount they're paying me. When they scan the QR code, it's going to be there for that amount. So I like IBEX. I recommend them highly.
Great. And then our final question is, as a general life principle, is it better to ask why or why not?
It's better to ask why not, I think. Yeah, it's like I think I thought about that one. That's the only question I thought about that I saw that you had. And I thought, I'm one of those people, I believe in asking for forgiveness instead of permission. So I would guess why not instead of why would go more with the asking for forgiveness instead of permission.
Sure, sure. Well, Gary, we're here today to talk about the Boom Bitcoin conference. There are a couple other things I'd like to get from you today as well. Well, first of all, I will say it's kind of nice, the Boom conference, with your background. It's a conference that's put on by someone, organized by someone who understands business and things like that. So for the business owners listening to this podcast, it may connect a little bit better with them. I know there are some conferences that are much more technically focused, which is also great, but may not be as beneficial for this particular audience. So I definitely want to pick your brain on that and get your insight as far as planning events and what people can expect at Boom. But a couple other things that I really want to hear from you about today are, first of all, the Bitcoin Boomer Show, hearing a little bit about your perspective as someone who is talking as a boomer. Maybe are there certain ways that younger folks like the millennials can be speaking to boomers, or is it really just is there not that much difference? And then finally, it would be really interesting to hear from you about if Bitcoin were around when you were getting started in business, would that be something that you would look to, or are the problems today such that Bitcoin is the tool for this moment in time? So I know that's a lot that I covered right there. Let's start with the Boom conference, and if you could just share with us a little bit about that,
Sure.
and what people can expect when they show up.
Sure. Bitcoin. This is the 6th year for our conference. The first 4 years were in Addison, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas, and we moved to Austin last year. And then 2021, we had maybe 270 people, and we grew to like 700 people last year by moving to Austin. And we're looking for 1,000 people this year. So we're still trying to grow. We've got a bigger venue. And last year was a day of workshops, a Saturday conference day. This day we have Thursday workshops, half day of workshops, and then Friday, Saturday conference day. So we've expanded it a day basically. But I'm not a real techie guy, even though I've been involved in tech a long time. I can work my way through code if I got to do something, but I'm not going to sit here and write some amazing app or something. I've always had people, work for me that did all that. And I just would look at the finished product from the user's end and say, this is great or this sucks. We got to change this and this and this and this. So I've always thought I'm kind of good at being the average Joe, looking at things from an average Joe's test point. So since I'm not a real techie guy, this isn't a super techie conference. For instance, our workshops on Thursday are about Lightning. So we have 2 workshops. Both rooms could hold to 500 people. I would think we're not going to have anywhere close to that. But they're pretty sized rooms, and one's for beginners in Lightning, and one's for advanced to Lightning. So if you're kind of like wondering what Lightning is, you want to see if it's something you could use in your business, you could use somehow, get an understanding of, that would be the workshop for you, would be the beginners. If you're more advanced, of course, you go into the advanced. Our conference, really, I call it a networking conference because I'm the kind of guy personally that really never goes and watches a speaker. I mean, I've never made any money sitting in there watching the sessions. I really haven't come out of this. And man, I just made $1 million watching this session, but I have put together tons of deals in the hallways, or met tons of people who are going, yeah, I can do this. I said, wow, I'm really looking for someone that could do that. I hadn't even thought about, incorporating that. So it's a networking conference. The whole thing's made for networking. So I think that's something unusual, and it's a Bitcoin conference, and it's a strong Bitcoin conference. You can't even be a vendor and have any other coin on your sign behind you. I mean, or in your paperwork. It's Bitcoin only, and we're really strong about that. And we can't sell anybody. And I think last year we had someone that had on their generic banner, they had maybe an Ethereum and some other coin, and we had to take tape and cover it. We told them they had to cover it with tape. And so they took some of our gaffer's tape we use for taping down cords, and they had to put over those coins on their banner. So we're pretty strict on that. But if you want to dwell into the Bitcoin community, or get into the Bitcoin community and learn what Bitcoin is, find out how it can help you, I think it's I actually think it's the number 1 conference in the country. I'm not saying it's the biggest, because everybody knows Miami is huge, but it's really not as strong of a Bitcoin conference as ours is in Bitcoin only. If you're like the Ethereum king and you have a little bit of Bitcoin, you're probably not going to come to my conference. Where you might go to that conference because there's so many people. It would have been a lot easier to do my conference if it was a crypto conference. Oh my gosh, I've cut down my amount of people I can have there by 60% probably. I can't have any exchanges as sponsors because they're 99% crypto, 1% Bitcoin. So if you're looking for Bitcoin, you want to learn about Bitcoin, you want to be around Bitcoiners, this is the Bitcoin conference.
Now, when you think of companies that you've interacted with, maybe, obviously there are tons in the ecosystem that are Bitcoin only, and it's a growing number, fortunately, and a lot of really quality companies with great leadership. Are there some that stand out to you, whether it's sponsors of the conference or just some that you really enjoy working with, that you say, like, these are the ones that I really admire?
The ones I really like, and it's kind of a promotion at the same time, but I really do like them, is my platinum sponsor, Unchained Capital. Oh my God, I use Unchained Capital. I've used them for a long time. They've been my sponsor for 4 years. They are not taking people's money and investing it and shorting things and screwing with other people's money. I love the idea of a multi-sig wallet for an individual as well as a company. With one of the reasons I like this product so much, and maybe it's because I am a boomer, I'm almost 70, but if I died tomorrow, my wife has no idea how to do anything. She really doesn't even know where anything's at for the most part, and neither do my kids if we both died. But if we did die, they do know that our stuff is with Unchained, and they could go down to Unchained and they would know I'm dead probably because I know a lot of people there personally. But if I didn't know them, they could take a death certificate or something that prove I'm dead, and they would help them recover my Bitcoin. So my Bitcoin wouldn't be lost forever, and they'd be searching everywhere, hoping they could find something. So that's what I like about Unchained and the multi-sig system, is they can help you help your heirs, your wife, your children, whatever, recover your Bitcoin. Because you've seen articles like this. You'll see them all the time, but you've seen articles where someone dies and no one knows how to get the... There's a big scam a couple of years ago up in Canada where the wife said, I don't know where anything is. He's dead, But he wasn't dead in that case. I don't think he was dead. But that's why I like Unchained Capital, is they really can help protect your investment past your lifetime.
So there's going to be a business owner listening to this who might be interested in the BitBlock Boom conference. If you were to recommend to them how to get the most out of the conference, maybe talk about the Gary Leland experience, not as like a special package, but like if you were to show up to that conference and make the most of it with business relationships and opportunities, what would you recommend them to do?
First of all, I'd recommend they use the code JOSH and get 10% off of a ticket.
Okay.
So first, I would recommend they save 10%, and I'd recommend they get their tickets quick because they go up the first of every month. Right now I think a ticket's like $500, but by conference time they're $1,000. Because they go up every month. So first, I'd recommend they get their ticket quickly, and I would recommend they get the full package. I know that sounds like I'm selling stuff, but really, the networking events are what it's about. I mean, and all the events are networking events. But I would recommend they at least go once and see what it is. Like I said, I stream all the talks on YouTube, and then I post them later so they can watch all that for free and stay home, because I'm not like saying, oh, I'm not putting it behind a paywall and saying, oh, you got to pay me $100 to watch this stuff. Because while the sessions are great, informative information and helpful, it's the hallways that make the money, and the evening events that we put on, the networking events. But that's why I said I'd recommend taking advantage of pricing and doing all the networking events. Because really, I mean, truly, if you go to that conference and you go the full 4 days to all the events and you network the whole time, and I know some people are not really as outgoing as me, that they're going to walk up to people and introduce themselves. But believe me, this is like a really friendly crowd, outgoing crowd that likes to share. If you go to this conference, and you're a business owner, there's no way you can't come out of there without an idea that's going to make you back your $500 and probably a lot more for your lifetime. So, it's, as Nike would say, just do it.
And I think about, you mentioned IBEX being there. I mean, this is a chance for you to interface with business owners that can also help you in your own business, right? So like IBEX could be a great team to partner with. You might find Michael Atwood of Oshi, which, by the way, for those listening to this podcast, you've just interviewed Michael in the last few weeks on the Bitcoin Boomer Show. So we interviewed Michael early on and hope to have him on again soon, but would definitely recommend the listeners to this podcast check out Gary's. And it's just really neat whenever you get around these founders. You can ask them questions about particulars of your business, maybe even give them some ideas of how they can improve their app, improve their services. So it's a really neat time because it's a stereotypical statement, a cliche, but we're still so early. And people can probably say that for the next decade, but there's some amazing resources being built right now.
If you're a retailer and you're using Toast or Square, I mean, you definitely should get set up with Oshi. I mean, it's like a no-brainer to get set up with Oshi. So go to oshi.team/Gary. And they actually, Michael will actually contact you and like not sell you on it, but say, hey, here's what you got to do. He'll send you an email personally saying, what are you looking to do? Here's where you download it. And it goes right into your system. I mean, there's nothing to it. And all of a sudden you've got gift cards people can buy online that you don't even know, and come to your site. So anyone who's got Toast or Square needs to, that's another no-brainer, needs to like look at Oshi and just move with it. It's not going to cost you anything.
Absolutely.
And it's not hard to do, and it's not going to hurt you, So if someone can only make you business and it can't lose you any, I mean, it's a no-brainer. I don't think Bitcoiners are going to be running in like no tomorrow when you get in and going, oh my gosh, I got all these Bitcoins. I can't believe I'm making millions. But it does open you up to a new community.
Yeah. Absolutely. I feel bad every time I use Groupon because I know that the company that I'm getting the Groupon for, they're losing a lot of money by me using Groupon. With Oshi, they really don't. You hand over a few percentage points to the customer, they get that the Sats back. I wish more companies were using Oshi as opposed to Groupon or something like that because I'm there for it.
Yeah, I think Mike has a great idea and a great product, so I'm a big backer on that.
Absolutely. So a few other things I wanted to talk to you about the Bitcoin Boomer Show. Can you talk a little bit about that? And if you think there are particular ways to be communicating about Bitcoin to boomers, maybe that's true, maybe not, but I'd like to hear your perspective as a self-proclaimed boomer.
Sure. I've been podcasting since 2004. I mean, I always say the first 100, but I might have been one of the first 10 for all I damn know. I mean, there was nobody. I created one of the first podcast directories, and I still remember when I went home and told my wife, I said, oh my God, we got 100 podcasts on that directory now. We were really excited because of the big spurt of growth. So for me to do the Bitcoin Boomer Show was almost a no-brainer. As you say, I am the self-proclaimed boomer. I started calling myself the boomer, Bitcoin Boomer, because people were giving boomers a hard time. I'm going, hell, I hadn't done anything wrong. So I'm going to embrace the boomers. I said, it's pretty obvious when people see me that I'm a boomer. So, I might as well just embrace it. And so doing the Bitcoin Boomer Show made sense to me, podcaster, Bitcoin Boomer. And I got involved with Biz TV. They brought me in to help with their podcasting. So I said, hey, I want to do a show here because they have a TV studio there too. And I said, part of the deal, I want to do a show. And so we've been doing this show for quite a while now, for several years now. But it's not really just for boomers. So I want to get that out. I know the title's the Bitcoin Boomer Show, but that's only because I'm the boomer. It's not like I'm always interviewing boomers or it's for boomers. It's for anyone who wants to find out more about Bitcoin. Michael's definitely not a boomer, Michael with Oshi. But that was a pretty informative show, I thought. Now, this week I do have a boomer on there. So sometimes it is a boomer, but it's not for boomers. But if you want to just learn about Bitcoin from someone who's not pushing it on you, who's not trying to sell you any Bitcoin, I'm not trying to sell you. I'm not trying to get you to use any products necessarily. I don't mind some. I have some referral links. I don't mind, but I'm not pushing them. Then it's maybe a show for you because it's like in a laid back atmosphere. We just talk about Bitcoin like this. And it's with people who are experts in the field. And then I chop them up into smaller bites, later and publish those out. So many people have such short attention spans now that I chop up each question into a show of its own later. But that's on the Bitcoin Boomer Show. I just enjoy talking Bitcoin. I don't think I've ever refused to be on anyone's show about Bitcoin because I enjoy talking Bitcoin.
So a few weeks ago, we promoted the BitBlock Boom meetups. That will have been promoted already on this show again today. I know you do the meetups and you're involved, obviously, in the conference. Do you find yourself talking to boomers a lot about Bitcoin? Do you have to communicate about it differently, or is it essentially the same as talking to anyone else, like a millennial?
No, it
Gen
is
X,
a little
whatever?
different, I found. I talk to a lot of boomers because that's my social group for the most part. If I go to a party, it's usually not some 30-year-old kid inviting this old man and his wife to their party. It's, someone else who's a friend of mine who's a boomer. I'm in Naples, Florida this weekend speaking at Bitcoin Day on a panel of boomers. It's called Wisdom from Old People or something, So I do talk to a lot of boomers about it. But, something that I found out from just doing it and experience, I will talk to someone who will ask. I no longer go up trying to just orange pill people who don't ask. And they'll ask me, what is this Bitcoin? And I don't understand it. And I'll talk to them for 10 minutes, give them a quick rundown that I feel was pretty thorough, as to what it is. And they go, okay. Well, do you have one on you? And so, you've done a bad job explaining when you talk for 10 minutes about Bitcoin and they ask, can you show me one? Do you have one on you? So they're thinking it's like a coin because they watch maybe Stuart Varney on Fox Business News in the morning or CNBC or whatever news they watch. Always shows that coin, that gold coin with the B on it. So since they're watching all this old people news, they think there's an actual coin. And no matter what you tell them, the whole time in their mind, they're thinking, oh, wow, that coin does all that. So I found if you're talking to boomers about Bitcoin, the first thing, and they don't know anything, the first thing you got to do is get the point across. It's not a physical coin. Get into that. Say it's, and get that covered. Because if you're telling them all this stuff and they're thinking it's a physical coin, well, the whole time, it makes no sense what you're telling them. So they can't really wrap their head around it. They're going, that coin does all this stuff? How do they... Can't they make more of these? I've seen them on the show. It's just a gold coin. Why can't they make more of those? It's just a coin. It looks like a silver dollar to me, or a Krugerrand or something. So I think that's my tip is like, get that out of the way. Get that established. This isn't real. It's real, but it's not physical.
Yeah.
So that would be my tip. That's what I do now. Anytime I talk to someone, I don't want to hear at the end of the conversation, do you have one with you?
So this last question that I'd like to end with, in addition to allowing you to kind of promote whatever you'd like to promote as far as where people can go, it's a little esoteric, so it may be a bad question to end on, and I might end up regretting it later. But do with it what you may. A lot of people are considering keeping Bitcoin that they receive in their business as kind of in their treasury on their balance sheet, especially because we're concerned about inflation becoming an increasing problem. I'm curious if would you have been interested, and I'll caveat it once again saying this, there's a certain development in technology that's been necessary for us to get to Bitcoin. But is this a type of tool that earlier in your business career, you would have considered? Or do you really think that people are looking for something besides US dollars now because of the situation we're in?
I think I personally would have considered it because I'm kind of like, I feel like my whole life I've tried to be on the cutting edge. I was telling someone today, I said, I can't believe I was so late in Bitcoin. I mean, like I said, I started my first e-commerce site when people told me I was an idiot for thinking people would buy. I was like one of the first 100 podcasters. I mean, I'm always known for like being on the cutting edge. And, I really feel like I was late to Bitcoin. And I felt like it when I bought it, that I was really late. But everybody feels like they're late when they buy Bitcoin. But I assume that when Bitcoin does hit $1 million or whatever, I'll say, wow, I was on the cutting edge again. But I would have liked to have been more on the cutting edge. So I think I would have moved into Bitcoin just as quickly. And like I said, still that one person screwed me up. Yeah. But I would have definitely, I think, even at an earlier stage, if it was out, and especially if it was as state it is now, where it's been out for, 12 years, it's proven itself durable, never been, hurt, or no one's ever been able to hack it. So at this point in time, Bitcoin's been long enough around to establish itself. So if it was established like this, I would see no reason not to. But even if you have a business and you are not that sure about Bitcoin, and you're going, like my wife used to say, you're going, that's just made up internet money. I mean, even if you're thinking that, well, who cares? What if it is? you don't have, you can buy, sell your products with Bitcoin and have it converted straight into US dollars. So if you've got a guy sitting there at his house going, man, I sure would like to buy that $500 item you have in your store, but I just don't have that in fiat, but I got it in Bitcoin because I got into Bitcoin so early, especially at a high price item. You know, if someone got into Bitcoin at a nickel, they're happy to sell their Bitcoin at 16,000, 20,000. So
Sure.
why not let them spend it with you and just, if you're scared of it, have it immediately converted to US dollars and put it into your account? I mean, it's like a no-lose situation. I don't care if people pay me with rubles or whatever, or any kind of a yen or whatever, if I was having it converted straight into dollars. You know, if it said 100 US dollars or whatever that amount would be in another currency, and they paid in the other currency and it just swung into dollars, I wouldn't care. So there's no difference between that and Bitcoin.
And in case listeners are wondering how in the world this is possible, IBEX, right? That's the way to do this. They have a service where they can help you to convert it right into USD. Gary, thank you so much for your insight, for playing along with that strange and hard to answer question. But I appreciate the insight you've given us today. Maybe share with us where you would like for people to go to find out more about BitBlockBoom and whatever else you want to promote right now.
Yeah, just go to bitblockboom.com for the session, and you'll see all the links there. But I would recommend that people look at our book. We wrote a book 2 years ago, me and 7 other people that are all Bitcoiners, called Bitcoin and the American Dream. So I would recommend people look at the book. You can just go to bitcoinandtheamericandream.com to buy that. Or if you want a signed copy, you can go to bitblockboom.com/book or books. One of the two works. I don't know which one. But definitely get that book, even if you buy. It's a 2-hour read. You can read it on a flight, and you can... I have some people that call me wanting 10, 20 copies because they want to give it out to people, you know, and they just hand them out to people. So, because it's a quick read that a boomer definitely would go, okay, I can read that at least ways, you know, even though I'm not going to read some real technical thing, I'll read this book.
Sure. All right. Well, Gary, once again, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Well, friends, it's a wrap. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Business Bitcoinization Show. If you want to reach out to either me or Gary, you can find our links down in the show notes. And if you want to connect with other Bitcoiners, consider going to BitBlockBoom in Austin. As always, keep building, keep growing, and until next time, keep living and leading well.